Today I'm back with 3 additional studying tips. If you have not watched our previous video where I covered 3 totally different studying tips, you can find that in the description box down below. And just like last time, a lot of this information is repackaged from Andrew Huberman's work. I went through roughly 8 hours of his content to source these tips. I will link to those sources in the description box as well. With that being said, let's jump right in. Tip number 1, studying in cycles. In the 1950s, the famed sleep researcher Nathaniel Kleitman discovered the sleep cycle. It turns out that our bodies go through 90 to 110-minute cycles while we sleep. We actually fall in and out of deep sleep multiple times every night. If we decide to use an alarm to force ourselves awake before a cycle completes itself, we will wake up feeling extremely groggy and tired. What does this have to do with studying? Well, it turns out that these cycles don't only happen while we're asleep. They actually happen nonstop all day. We go through periods of increasing and decreasing focus and energy. So if we can time a work or study session with one of these cycles while our awareness is increasing, then in theory, we should be able to get a much better session. This also means that it's best to do work in 90-minute sprints, because after 90 minutes, our focus starts to decline. In fact, Huberman recommends that we figure out when our cycles occurred throughout the day and then do 90-minute sprints 2 to 3 times per day. So using the chart from before, let's say for example you wake up at 6 a.m. naturally. The fact that you just woke up means that you finished the sleep cycle and are about to begin the first waking cycle. You can take advantage of this and start studying 15 to 30 minutes right after waking up and do this until 8:15. At 8:15, you can take a break, maybe get some food, and then around 9:45, the next cycle begins. So you can try to do another 90-minute sprint here, or you can save it for one of the later cycles, such as the one at 1:15 p.m. It's important to keep in mind that everyone's body is different, so the timing and also the length of your cycles may vary widely, which is why I suggest you spend a day or two figuring out when your cycles start and end, and also which cycles you like to work in the most. Now, what you do during the non-work cycles is also extremely important. We will cover that in the next tip, but before we move on to the next tip, I'd like to thank Philo, who are the sponsors of today's video. Philo is the world's first live instant tutoring platform. This application connects students to a tutor live for a one-on-one learning session within 60 seconds. And tutors are available 24/7, and all of them are highly qualified subject matter experts in math, science, English, social sciences, and even programming. And because the sessions are all one-on-one, they can give you a customizable experience to suit your needs. They can help you with homework, revise essays, review your notes, and even exam preparation. They can help you with the SATs, ACTs, and many of the other popular exams around the world. You can make your learning effective by jumping on a quick session with a tutor and having them help you out with whatever problem you are stuck on. So download Philo today by clicking on the link in the description box down below. Now back to the topic at hand, tip number 2 is deliberate decompression. Simply put, after every cycle where you decide to focus hard on something, you need to take a break and allow your mind to relax. This is very similar to working out. After you complete a hard set at the gym where you pushed your body to the limit, you don't immediately jump into the next set and try to do it all again, right? Because you know that you need to wait a few minutes to regain your strength. According to Andrew Huberman, the same thing applies to our mind. We need to spend anywhere from 10 to even 30 minutes of relaxing after a focus cycle. We need to give our brain a break. If we don't, chances are our next session won't be as productive as we'd like. And additionally, taking proper breaks will allow you to fit more 90-minute focus cycles throughout your day. Deliberate decompression can be the difference between being able to do 2 focus sessions per day to doing it 3 times per day. Some recommended ways to decompress are taking a walk in nature, cooking, doing some chores, anything where your brain doesn't have to do much thinking. It should be something that you've done enough times to the point where you can go on autopilot and let your mind wander. And ideally, it should not be something that involves looking at a tiny screen, because as we covered in our previous video on studying and focus, a huge percentage of our brain is used to process visual information. So whenever we stare at something tiny for a long period of time, we end up turning on the focusing gears in our brain, which is something we definitely want to avoid during our break. The third and final tip is meditation. Using the analogy from before of working out, where you are training your physical cells to form stronger connections, the same thing happens in our brain with certain neural pathways. We know the more times a neural pathway is activated, the stronger the connection becomes. And this applies to focus as well, which is why it's a good idea to pick up a habit of meditation if you feel like you are someone who is unable to focus even during the optimal 90-minute cycles throughout the day. Huberman suggests practicing a simple mindfulness meditation meditation technique, which I covered before in a previous video that I will link to in the description box below. Studies have found that doing this form of meditation for at least 13 minutes per session can drastically improve your ability to focus after just a few months. Now, I know that meditation is one of the hardest habits to stick to, so here's an additional tip that can really help those of you struggling with it. Instead of trying to meditate every day, you can do it just 3 to 5 times a week, similar to how people approach their fitness habits. This way you can pick days where you have enough free time and stress less if you do end up missing a day or two, because you can always push it to another day of the week. I hope these 3 tips helped you out. If you're looking for some more tips, make sure to watch the previous video I had on studying. Besides that, guys, stay tuned.